Ever since September 1, something hath been pulling at your energy. Archangel Michael located the source, but you haven't obeyed his nudge. Open this now before the cycle repeats. From the very first breath of September 1, something shifted. Not just in the atmosphere, but in the spirit realm. A portal was opened, a doorway was unlocked, and for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, something began to pull, tug, and tap at the soul. The date wasn't random, it was prophetic. Marked in the heavenly calendar, it signified the beginning of a new cycle and a divine interruption. Heaven moved. The chords recorded. And Archangel Michael, heaven's chief warrior and protector of the chosen, began circling. He wasn't circling without cause. He came bearing instruction. He came releasing nudges, dreams, divine delays, and sudden moments of pause. And yet, many ignored it. Many brushed off the stillness, resisted the silence, and chose noise over nuance. What you felt it. A strange heaviness, a draining of your energy, a tension in your soul that you could not name. It wasn't just physical fatigue, it was spiritual leakage. Something was siphoning your strength, whispering confusion, interrupting your clarity. And still, many moved forward, unaware that silence and stillness were not optional suggestions, they were survival protocols. Archangel Michael gave the nudge, but you doubted the source. You heard the inner call to slow down, to consecrate, to withdraw, to pray. But the world demanded your attention, and so the cycle began to stir again. It wasn't new. It was a familiar pull, disguised in a new disguise. But heaven kept watch. Heaven took note. Heaven recorded the pull, and now, Archangel Michael has found the source. What was hidden is now being revealed. What was ignored is now being magnified. And this time, the cycle must not repeat. This is not for everyone, but if you felt the drain, if your spirit has been disturbed, if you've been weary for no reason, restless without cause, this message is your confirmation. The source of the disruption has been located, but your obedience is required to stop it from spiraling again. Heaven does not reveal what it does not intend to heal, and now that you know, you cannot remain still. The doorway opened on September 1 and you are being summoned to walk through it in full awareness, full discernment, and full surrender. Type "I receive the revelation" in the comments if you feel the weight of this word. Blessing code 1717 is unlocking your discernment. Since the dawn of September 1st, your name has been spoken in the courts of heaven. Hear now the voice of the watcher and the warrior, for I, Archangel Michael, have been summoned on your behalf. Since the threshold of September 1 was crossed, your name has been resounding in the high places. Heaven has not been silent. The throne has not been still. Your name, yes, your name, has been declared in the courts of the Most High, not in judgment, but in protection. Not in wrath, but in remembrance. For what was spoken over you before time is now being warred for in this time. You felt it. You knew something shifted. You couldn't quite name it, but your spirit sensed it. A subtle interference. A whisper of weariness. A theft that didn't leave fingerprints, just emptiness. Since September 1, the atmosphere around you has not been ordinary. A pressure has built in silence. A pull has lingered in your soul. Peace became harder to grasp. Focus began to scatter like wind-tossed ashes, and the joy you once carried began to fade, not violently, but quietly, like a gentle leak beneath the surface. This is the sign that few perceive. When heaven elevates, the enemy agitates. Your hand being an unseen hand siphoning your energy, not all at once, but drop by drop. A familiar face suddenly feels off. A conversation leaves you confused. Sleep feels heavy, but rest never truly comes. It is not your imagination. It is interference. This is not mere coincidence. It is spiritual strategy. And you, beloved, are not crazy. You are marked. You are marked because you carry something others cannot see, yet they feel. You are marked because your next step has weight in the spirit realm. You are marked because what's inside of you terrifies the kingdom of darkness. Not everyone feels this pull. Not everyone senses this disruption. But you do because you have been sealed with divine assignment. You are being watched, not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous to darkness. The enemy does not war against what he does not fear, and you, child of light, are feared. But hear this. If you ignore the signal, if you continue as if nothing has shifted, if you brush off what heaven is announcing, the cycle will repeat again before the next moon rises. And this time, it won't just steal your energy. It will try to fracture your focus, delay your steps, and suffocate your voice. The heavens are issuing a divine interruption. I, Archangel Michael, have been sent not to coddle but to confront, to stand between what with and what must be. You were warned in whispers, nudged in dreams, halted in delays, and now the trumpet is sounding in your spirit. Awaken. Rise. Obey. This is not a random message scrolling through your feed. This is a divine appointment disguised as a video. And your spirit knows it. You are not here by accident. You are here because heaven scheduled this moment with your name on it. So I declare this over you now. You are not being attacked because of what you've done wrong, but because of what you're about to do right. Your obedience has the power to cancel what the enemy has prepared. But it requires urgency. It requires clarity. It requires stillness. This is your summons to remember who you are. Not a victim of cycles, but a breaker of them. Not one who flees, but one who fights. And I, Michael, am at your side, sword drawn, shield raised, eyes locked on the spirit realm, and I will not rest until you step fully into what has been written. Type I will obey the call in the comments if your spirit bears witness. Blessing code 3333 is activating your spiritual alertness. They know a piece of your destiny, but not the whole picture. Something, or someone, has been watching you. Not with eyes of love, but with shadows of envy. Since the threshold of September 1, a strange disruption began weaving itself into your days. Not loud and not obvious, but enough to unsettle. Enough to shift the atmosphere. Enough to make the light in your life feel dimmer without explanation. Conversations began to carry hidden weight. Words that once encouraged now linger with suspicion. Smiles from familiar faces began to feel forced. And deep within your soul, something whispered, "This isn't what it seems." Let this be the unveiling. What you are sensing is not just emotional imbalance. It is spiritual interference. The drain, the confusion, the fatigue. It is not yours. It was sent. Heaven has tracked the interference. Heaven has followed the trail. And now, Archangel Michael confirms, a spiritual parasite has attached itself to your atmosphere. A leech, invisible to the natural eye but clear in the realm of the spirit. A familiar spirit, cloaked in false peace, drawing your energy, distorting your clarity, and attempting to delay your momentum. Since September 1, the atmosphere around you became a battlefield. And not because you are weak, but because your next step holds weight. Your next move threatens strongholds. Your next word carries deliverance. And those who see even a glimpse of what God has placed in you, they begin to resist. They don't have the full blueprint of your calling. They don't know the full scope of your assignment. But they can feel it. They can sense the oil on you. And some, unknowingly or knowingly, have become vessels of disruption, agents of delay, instruments of confusion. This is why the emotions have felt tangled. This is why your peace has been hard to reclaim. Because there is a war happening in the unseen, and your spirit is in the crossfire. But hear me clearly. You are not defenseless. You are not vulnerable. You are covered. But you must not ignore the patterns. You must not dismiss the pull. Heaven is confronting what has been draining you, but heaven requires your agreement to sever it. Archangel Michael has traced the disruption back to its origin, and now your awareness becomes your weapon. Pay attention to how people shift around you when you elevate. Pay attention to how support grows silent when you speak truth. Pay attention to the ones who cheer for you publicly but resent you spiritually. There are levels of betrayal so subtle, they masquerade as loyalty. But heaven is pulling back the veil, not to shame, but to protect it. To expose what's been hidden behind false peace. And yet, even in the mystery, even in the tension, God is faithful. He allowed the pull so that you would stop depending on your strength and start depending on His Spirit. He permitted the leak so that you would finally confront the source. And now, that confrontation is happening, in the Spirit first, but soon in the natural. This isn't just a season, it's a setup. The unrest you feel is not the end, it's the turning point. The disruption wasn't designed to destroy you, it was allowed to redirect you. And those who tried to drain your oil will be silenced. They cannot take what heaven has sealed. But you must choose. Do you return to the noise, the confusion, the distractions? Or do you obey the nudge, embrace the silence, and protect your anointing? Because September 1 was not the beginning of a breakdown. It was the beginning of a breakout. Type I see the truth in the comments if this section exposed something in your spirit. Lesson code 4444 is now revealing the unseen. Your discernment is rising because your spirit is awakening. If this message pierced the veil and spoke directly to your season, know this. When you support this divine mission, you are sowing into the deliverance of others. This isn't about helping a channel. It's about helping souls awaken before it's too late. When you give, you ignite the light in someone else's darkness. You become the river God uses to carry truth where the enemy tried to build walls. The word says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together," running over Luke 6:38. But today, hear it as heaven speaking directly to you. I feel led to say, if this word resonated, now is your moment to respond. Partner with what God is doing here, through super thanks, membership, or through the PayPal link in the video description. When you give into prophetic soil, your harvest accelerates. You're not just donating, you're declaring, "I believe in the breakthrough of others." May every seed you release activate a reversal in your own life. Give as you are led. Give as you are moved. Give because heaven is stirring you now. Your obedience to stillness was the test. Your distraction fed the cycle, child of light. Let the veil be torn fully now. What you are experiencing is not just hardship, not just emotion, not just circumstance. This is spiritual war. And it is not random. It is precise, strategic, calculated by the enemy to hit you where it hurts, not just in your body, not just in your finances, but in your focus, your devotion, and your divine clarity. Since September 1, a warfare has been unfolding, a quiet kind of combat, one that doesn't shout, but whispers, one that doesn't punch, but pulls, pulling at your energy, your mind, your confidence, your rhythm. But here is the truth you must now embrace. Attacks intensify before elevation. Resistance increases before release. And the enemy of your soul doesn't fight what doesn't threaten his agenda. The reason you've been feeling the weight, the reason you've been fighting through the fog, is not because you've strayed. It's because you've stepped closer. Closer to breakthrough. Closer to destiny. Closer to the unveiling of what was hidden inside you. And your stillness was the test. Heaven asked for silence. Stillness. Consecration. Obedience. A pulling back from the noise. A stepping away from distractions. But when the pull came, many did not recognize it as an invitation. Instead, they ran to busyness, to performance, to coping, and in doing so, the cycle gained strength again. But not because you were cursed, no, because the enemy was invited through distraction. What you do not confront, you empower. And what you do not discern, you tolerate. And what you tolerate will drain you. But even in the misstep, even in the delay, grace stood guard. I, Archangel Michael, did not leave your side. Heaven watched. Heaven recorded. And heaven is not condemning you. Heaven is calling you back. Back to stillness. Back to obedience. Back to divine awareness. Because this isn't just about a feeling. This is about formation. Heaven is forming a warrior in the furnace of spiritual conflict. Hear this clearly. Your obedience to stillness was never about inactivity. It was about alignment. God did want you to do more. He wanted you to see more. To perceive beyond the surface. To discern behind the words. To recognize the setup before it became a setback. But the moment you ignored the nudge to pause, the spiritual realm responded, because silence in obedience is a fortress, but silence in disobedience is an open door. And yet, even in that open door, the angels of the Lord encamped around you. Your struggle was not hidden. Your questions were not silenced. Heaven saw you fight to stay focused. Heaven saw you cry out with no answers. Heaven saw your resilience even in weakness. And let this be made clear, nothing escaped the courts of heaven. Not one word spoken against you. Not one act of betrayal behind closed doors. Not one moment of confusion. Not one tear. All of it has been gathered as evidence, and heaven is ready to rule on your behalf. But the conflict must be seen correctly. This is not about people. This is about principalities. This is not personal. This is prophetic. Because you are a carrier of something sacred. You are not just passing through life. You are passing through assignment. You are a deliverer, a restorer, a vessel of change. And with that kind of weight comes warfare. But the battle is not proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're called. So today, let this conflict be reframed. You are not under attack. You are under formation. You are not in delay. You are in divine development. This cycle was never stronger than your calling. The only thing it needed was your distraction. But now your awareness returns. And with it, your authority. Stand firm. Refuse to panic. Refuse to bow. Because even now, the Lord is whispering over you, peace, be still. I'm not punishing you, I'm preparing you. Type I am information in the comments if this word anchors you. Blessing code 5555 is now surrounding your obedience with angelic force. Within the next 72 hours, if ignored, the energy drain escalates. There is no more room for hesitation. The clock has already started. The moment the divine calendar flipped to September 1, a countdown began, not to punishment, but to prophetic confrontation. And now, with each passing hour, heaven waits for your agreement, because within the next 72 hours, a tipping point is approaching. If you remain still in disobedience, if you continue dismissing the urgency you feel in your spirit, the energy drain will not just persist, it will intensify. The heaviness will grow. The clarity will dim. The pressure will mount. And it will not be by accident. It will be by permission. Not God's permission, yours. This cycle has a memory. It has patterns. And it is seeking to repeat itself through the back door of your passivity. But heaven is intercepting that repetition with a final call to awareness. You have felt the pressure already, the sleeplessness, the confusion, the miscommunications, the spiritual exhaustion that doesn't match your schedule. You have seen the signs, sudden distance from people you once trusted, strange emotions that don't feel like yours, an anxiety that seems to arrive without cause. All of it had been heaven's early alarm. But now, that alarm is about to turn into a trumpet. And here is what the Spirit is revealing. A confrontation is coming. Whether you prepare or not, whether you heed the call or not, something is being stirred in the spirit realm that will soon collide with your physical reality. It may come as an unexpected conversation, a moment of exposure, a breakdown of a false alignment, or a sudden shift in your atmosphere. It will not come to destroy you. It will come to reveal the source. What has been draining you will be unmasked. What hath been pretending will be exposed. But here's the truth. If you are not spiritually still and spiritually armed, it will shake you unnecessarily. This is why the call to obedience cannot be delayed. Because what you don't confront in the spirit, you will be forced to deal with in the natural. Heaven is saying, if you yield now, I will fight for you. But if you delay, you will be drawn into a war that was never yours to fight. A confrontation that's coming is not meant to humiliate you. It is meant to liberate you. But the path to freedom still requires surrender. The weight you're carrying is not sustainable. The confusion you felt is not your portion. And the storm you sense building, it is not your destruction. It is your separation. Separation from what drained you. Separation from what distracted you. Separation from what delayed your oil from flowing freely. Yes, there has been betrayal. Yes, someone has spoken against you in secret, Yes, there have been atmospheres designed to resist you, but they will not prosper if you obey the instruction. The enemy longs to pull you into a reaction, to make you speak prematurely, move hastily, fight in your flesh. But heaven says, be still. Let me expose it my way. Because here is the mystery. If you yield, heaven will interrupt the cycle. What was sent to drain you will now be used to promote you. What came to sabotage will be flipped into supernatural setup. But only if you do not react. Only if you choose silence. Only if you choose obedience over retaliation. Child of the throne, I, Archangel Michael, am stationed beside you. Soar ready. Wings stretched wide. I have tracked the source of this disruption and I have encircled the atmosphere of your life. But even I, warrior of heaven, wait your yes. I cannot move without your permission. I cannot sever what you are still entertaining. I cannot fight what you refuse to release. This is the hour of decision. The pressure will increase. The storm will swirl. But if you choose obedience, heaven will answer violently on your behalf. Type I yield to heaven in the comments if you feel the urgency. Blessing code 818 is unlocking your divine protection. Be still, and heaven fights for you. The command is clear. The strategy is ancient. The power is undeniable. In the face of rising warfare, in the swell of invisible pressure, the instruction from heaven is not to strive, but to be still. Not to shout, but to withdraw. Not to fight in your own strength, but to anchor yourself in divine silence. Because silence is not weakness. Stillness is not passivity. In the realm of the Spirit, stillness is a weapon. And for those who obey, it becomes an impenetrable shield. You have heard the call, and now you are being given your assignment. Do not move until you are moved by the Spirit. Refuse the temptation to explain yourself. Refuse the urge to confront in the flesh. Refuse the distraction of defending your name. This moment is sacred. It is surgical. And the Holy One is moving in precision. Your obedience to stillness is what gives heaven full legal authority to intervene on your behalf. Not your reaction. Not your opinion. Not your anger. Just your stillness. Archangel Michael, guardian of heaven's elect, now stands positioned at your side, not as a passive observer, but as a defender with drawn sword, ready to strike down every spiritual interference that has attached itself to your atmosphere. But there is a law in the Spirit. What you give access to, even angels cannot override. And if you remain open to distractions, entertain toxic alignments, or war in your own strength, you step outside the covering. Stillness brings you back under divine jurisdiction. And here is your reassurance. When you choose silence and obedience, heaven speaks louder on your behalf than your words ever could. While you are quiet in the natural, heaven is thundering in the spirit. While you are still on the outside, angels are warring behind the veil. This is a season of heavenly substitution, where your stillness becomes a signal that you trust the throne more than your own understanding. And when heaven sees that trust, it responds with overwhelming favor, unexplainable peace, and supernatural reversals. The temptation will be strong, to engage, to explain, to fix what you didn't break. But hear this, some battles are not assigned to you because of your strength, but because of your restraint. Your silence is not surrender. It is submission to higher strategy. While others react, you will retreat into the safety of stillness. While others fight to be seen, you will dwell in the secret place. And it is there, in the silence, where the greatest victories are forged. Declare it over yourself now. I am hidden. I am sealed. I am untouchable. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, because no weapon can find you when you are covered by divine silence. You are wrapped in glory, surrounded by fire, encircled by angelic defense. And this time, your defense will not be your mouth, it will be your obedience. Heaven is not asking you to fight, heaven is asking you to trust. Trust that what you release, God will handle. Trust that what you walk away from, He will judge. Trust that what you cover in prayer, He will cover in power. Your silence is a signal in the spirit realm, a trumpet that alerts angelic hosts to go to war for you. So step back. Be quiet. Close the door. And open your heart. Because in the stillness, the shift begins. Type "I am hidden in Him" in the comments if you receive this instruction. Blessing code 1122 is now covering your atmosphere with divine stillness. You are not who they left in August. September awakened you. Let this be your announcement to the atmosphere. The version of you that entered August is not the one standing in September. Something sacred shifted. Something ancient was activated. A fire was kindled that cannot be put out. And though the enemy thought you would break beneath the pressure, you did not break, you were built. You were not buried, you were baptized. Baptized in fire. Baptized in clarity. Baptized in the kind of silence that forges warriors, not victims. This shift you're feeling is not emotional. It is motivational. It is spiritual. It is eternal. And it is irreversible. Heaven is not returning you to your former self. Heaven is revealing your true self. For too long, you have been surviving cycles, but now, you are being called to shatter them. The passive version of you has died. The timid version of you has been laid to rest. The one who second-guessed her discernment, who apologized for being too sensitive to the Spirit, who watered down her anointing to make others comfortable, that version is gone. And in its place stands a warrior forged by fire. They left you in August assuming you were weak. They left you thinking you'd faint. They left you doubting your worth. But they didn't see what heaven saw. They didn't hear what heaven declared. Because while they judged your silence as surrender, God was using your stillness as a sanctuary. While they dismissed you as broken, God was remaking you as bold. While they walked away, heaven stepped closer. And now, the unveiling has begun. You are not just surviving anymore. You are standing in supernatural strength. Strength not rooted in pride, but in purpose. Strength not forged in applause, but in obedience. The fire didn't destroy you. It revealed what was inside you all along. Your wings are unfolding now. Your voice is rising now. Your oil is flowing now. The chains that once bound you are melting in the presence of divine authority. It is time to step forward, not in fear, but in full awareness of who you are. The enemy wanted you to be passive, reactive, doubtful, but instead, you have emerged as a threat. A holy threat. A sacred interruption to the plans of darkness. And this strength isn't borrowed, it's birthed. Birthed through warfare. Birthed through prayer. Birthed through long nights where you held your peace and trusted God when no one saw your tears. Your story is not one of survival. It is one of resurrection. The wilderness trained you. The fire purified you. The silence matured you. You are not soft, you are sealed. And from this moment forward, you will no longer apologize for being chosen. You will no longer shrink to make room for mediocrity. You will no longer ignore your intuition to keep false peace. You will move with grace, but walk in power. Because this isn't your breaking. This is your unveiling. The earth groans for the revealing of the sons and daughters of God. And now, you are being revealed. With oil on your head, with fire in your bones, with heaven behind you, with angels beside you. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain anything. You just need to show up in divine authority, sealed by the fire of obedience and the sword of revelation. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your emergence. Type "I am unveiled" in the comments if you feel the fire of heaven rising within you. Blessing code 911 is releasing divine strength through your identity. The enemy saw what heaven had planned for you after September and tried to block it. Now the veil is lifting. Now the truth emerges. What has felt like chaos, what appeared as confusion, what wrapped itself in emotional fatigue, was never random. It was reaction. It was retaliation. Not because of who you were, but because of what was coming after September. Hear this in the spirit. The enemy caught a glimpse. He didn't see the full picture. Only heaven holds that. But he saw the light growing around you. He sensed the oil increasing upon you. He felt the fire that was being kindled within you. And so, he moved, not because of where you were, but because of where you were about to go. That's why the attack was subtle. That's why the drain was quiet. That's why the atmosphere shifted with no explanation. Because the enemy knows, if he can't stop the anointing, he'll try to confuse the vessel. If he can't curse the oil, he'll try to leak it through your exhaustion. If he can't block the blessing, he'll try to distract you before it arrives. And the moment the calendar opened into September, the warfare began. Not as punishment, but as a direct reaction to prophetic movement. You need to understand, your September was marked in heaven. Before the foundations of the world, your name was written into the scrolls for this season. A divine release was scheduled. A spiritual unlocking was preordained. And the enemy, though limited, is not blind. He could smell the breakthrough coming. He could feel the angels shifting. He could hear your name being announced in the courts of heaven. And so he sent confusion. He sent division. He sent subtle warfare designed to wear you out before the revelation arrived. But what the enemy feared, heaven has now confirmed. You are on the verge. What he tried to drain out of you, heaven is now restoring sevenfold. Your mind is being renewed. Your spirit is being refueled. Your path is being cleared. And the pull you felt since September 1st, it was the gravity of your own destiny, trying to pull you into alignment while the enemy tried to pull you into distraction. Let this be a prophetic decree. Blessings that were delayed are now accelerating. Doors that were stuck are now opening. Alignments that were withheld are now being released. Promotions in the spirit and in the natural are now being signed. Not because of perfection, but because of positioning. Your obedience, your stillness, your surrender has positioned you for divine appointment. Heaven did not forget your name. Heaven did not overlook your effort. The delay was not denial. It was divine recalibration. The attacks you survived were evidence of the weight you carry. And now, that weight is attracting the wind of favor. The very storms that were sent to drown you are now lifting you into your next realm. Your name is known in heaven. Your obedience is written. Your warfare has been witnessed. And now, your release is activated. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not in a delay. You are in a divine unveiling. What was hidden is now being shouted. What was stolen is being returned. And what was whispered in secret is now being announced in the Spirit. So lift your head. Steady your hands. Strengthen your heart. Because the season of heaviness is ending, and the season of harvest is beginning. A shift wasn't your destruction. It was your announcement. Type "My name is written in heaven" in the comments if you feel this word confirming your spirit. Lesson code 414 is now unlocking your prophetic inheritance. You're not just listening to words, you're stepping into divine confirmation. If this message revealed what your spirit already knew, then you understand the power of prophetic voice in this hour. When you support this mission, you're not giving to a platform. You're sowing into a movement of awakening. Every seed you plant reaches someone else who's been trapped in silence, confusion, or warfare, and your giving becomes their deliverance. Your oil flows stronger when it is shared. Heaven multiplies what is sown in obedience. As it is written, whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. And I declare this personally to you now. Your giving shall be met with divine reversal, supernatural provision, and favor that cannot be explained. I feel it in the Spirit. This is good soil. Through Super Thanks membership, with a PayPal link in the description, you can unlock destinies beyond your own. Don't delay. Don't hesitate. Give prophetically. Give intentionally. Give as one who knows the weight of obedience. Your seed today will echo into someone else's breakthrough tomorrow. Heaven waits for your yes. This is your activation moment. This is not a suggestion. This is not a gentle nudge. This is heaven's full call, sounding loud, sounding clear, demanding your response. No more delays. No more distractions. No more deferring your power to another day. The grace for hiding is lifting. The permission to stay small has expired. The whisper in your spirit that's been calling you higher. That was not imagination. That was instruction. And now, the scroll of your assignment is being handed to you again. Not in theory, but in full spiritual reality. Heaven is waiting for your yes. Not your maybe. Not your next year. Not your when the time is right. Now. Because when heaven calls, it doesn't ask if you're ready. It declares that you've been chosen. That your obedience is the key to the very thing you've been praying for. You've asked for breakthrough, but it waits for your alignment. You've cried for answers, but they are released through your yes. And not just any yes, but a bold, public, unwavering, spirit-led yes. Archangel Michael, protector of the elect and forerunner of divine order, now surrounds your life not just for defense, but for activation. His sword is not only drawn for battle, it is drawn to sever every tie that binds you to the old version of yourself. The version that tolerated delay. The version that tiptoed around destiny. The version that feared being fully seen. That version cannot go with you. That version cannot carry this oil. That version cannot unlock what your next level demands. You must decree it now. You must declare it loud. You must speak it over your family, your finances, your mind, your ministry, your legacy. I am in full agreement with heaven. No more wavering. No more postponing purpose because of people. No more fearing rejection from those who were never assigned to your journey. Heaven is not negotiating your identity. Heaven has already sealed your purpose, and now you must step into it. The heavens are opened. The oil is being poured. The winds of acceleration are blowing in your direction, but they will not carry you forward until your spirit aligns with what has already been declared in the throne room. You are not weak. You are not late. You are not unqualified. You are ordained. You are anointed. You are awakened. There is a gate in the spirit realm that only opens through declaration, through action, through agreement. And today, the key is in your mouth. What you decree, heaven will establish. What you lose on earth will be loosed in the heavens. The angels are already moving. The path is already being cleared. But your next step must be intentional. You must speak life. You must declare war on every lie that said you weren't ready. You must rebuke the voice of delay and fear and say, I am stepping into what God wrote about me. And don't just declare it for yourself. Declare it over your house. Declare it over your bloodline. Declare it over everything you touch. Your yes is the activation switch for your entire lineage. What took generations before you to break, you will shatter in a moment of surrender. And what the enemy tried to stop after September 1st is now being forced into reversal by the sheer force of your agreement with heaven. This is the hour. This is the moment. This is the calling. And you were born for it. No more fear. No more delay. No more cycles. You are stepping into your inheritance, bold, covered, empowered. Type my YES unlocks heaven in the comments if you're ready to step into full alignment. Blessing code 707 is now activating your assignment. What was stolen is already being restored long before you understood what was happening, before the fatigue, before the delays, before the strange heaviness entered your space. Something sacred had already begun to shift. You see, in the spirit realm, negotiations were taking place. Not the kind made with human lips, but with the cries of your spirit. Not the kind heard by natural ears, but by the courts of heaven. While you were questioning what you were feeling, when the pull began on September 1st, the realms above you were already responding. What you didn't see is what mattered most. In the silence, heaven was speaking on your behalf. In the confusion, angels were being dispatched. In the delay, the divine timetable was being restructured. There was a silent exchange happening. What the enemy stole was already being demanded back. What was lost in past seasons was being reclaimed. You didn't know it then, but you weren't just being fought. You were being represented in the presence of God. Every moment you chose not to lash out, every time you stayed still when chaos surrounded you, every tear you cried instead of retaliating, it was recorded. It became evidence. And with every piece of that evidence, heaven was responding with divine recompense. There is now a holy transaction underway. Your pain for purpose. Your losses for restoration. Your obedience for overflow. The Spirit of the Lord says this: they thought you were being silent because you were weak, but your silence became currency. It bought space for angels to move. It bought time for heaven to set the record straight. It gave me access to move without interference. And now, the scales are tipping. The things you thought were gone are already being drawn back to you, but in divine alignment this time, not out of striving, not through manipulation, but through kingdom order. This is the mystery that explains your unrest. Your spirit felt the shift before your mind could understand it. That's why you couldn't sleep. That's why you were unsettled. That's why things felt unfamiliar, because heaven was reordering things while your natural world was still catching up. You sensed the movement before you saw the manifestation. But the manifestation is coming now, because the silent exchange is nearly complete. Heaven is not only restoring what was stolen, it is upgrading it. What the enemy meant to wear you out with, God is turning into strength. The clarity you lost is returning sharper than before. The relationships that were broken will be replaced by divine alliances. The time that felt wasted will become the very soil from which supernatural harvests spring forth. Nothing is lost. Everything is returning, refined and aligned. You are not the same. Your spirit has matured in silence. Your discernment hath been sharpened in stillness. Your authority has been fortified through every unanswered question. What happened was not punishment, it was positioning. You weren't being ignored. You were being hidden while heaven worked behind the scenes. So take heart. Lift your head. The silence was not in vain. The prayer had a purpose, and the spiritual transaction is almost complete. The seed of your obedience is about to meet the flood of your inheritance. Type "I receive the exchange" in the comments if you feel heaven moving on your behalf. Blessing code 2222 is finalizing the restoration of everything that was lost. The scales are already balanced. Now comes the part that shakes both heaven and earth. The release of spiritual justice. The silence has ended. The waiting is over. What was tolerated has reached its expiration, and the courts of heaven have issued a decree. Every cycle ends here. What has been hidden is being revealed. What has been done in darkness is being judged by the light. No more delay. No more unseen warfare without divine response. The sword of the Lord has been unsheathed, and Archangel Michael now stands at the threshold with fire in his wings and vengeance in his grip, not for your destruction, but for your defense. There are things that were done to you that you didn't speak about. There were words released against you that you never addressed. There were betrayals that shattered your trust, but you stayed silent to protect your peace. Heaven saw, heaven heard, heaven recorded, and now heaven responds. The time for divine reversal has come. For every tear, there shall be double honor. For every delay, there shall be divine acceleration. For every attack, there shall be undeniable promotion. Do not think for a moment that the enemy's plots went unnoticed. They were calculated, strategic, designed to stop you before September shifted you, designed to wear out your strength so you'd never step into the version of you that was forming in the fire. But it failed. Because heaven has a pattern. What was meant to harm the chosen becomes the hammer of breakthrough. What tried to suffocate your purpose is now being crushed under the weight of divine reversal. You're not just receiving restoration, you're receiving recompense. This is more than getting back what you lost. This is divine overpayment. This is justice dripping with oil. This is vindication wrapped in glory. This is the moment where every misjudged season turns into a stage for God's glory. The same mouths that doubted you will have to declare, surely, the hand of God is upon them. The Spirit of the Lord says, I have not forgotten your endurance. I have not ignored your long-suffering. I have been slow to speak because I was measuring the scales, and now they are full. And now I will move swiftly. The divine scales are tipping in your favor. The enemy overplayed his hand, and now the backlash of heaven is being loosed. Not in bitterness, not in revenge, but in justice. You may not see how it will unfold, but rest in this. It has already begun. Some will be removed. Some will be exposed. Some will repent. But none will stop what heaven has now set in motion. What was sent to destroy you has now become the stage for your announcement. The garments of mourning are being stripped off. The ashes of grief are being blown away. And garments of glory, garments of favor, garments of divine identity are being placed upon your shoulders. You have been weighed. You have been tested. And now you are being found faithful. You are walking into a reversal so supernatural, even you will question how it happened so fast. The enemy's time is up. The storm has passed. The lie has been shattered. The cycle is broken, and the tables have turned. Type "Justice is mine" in the comments if you know this word was sent to confirm your victory. Blessing code 6000 is initiating heaven's vengeance in your favor. Since September 1, heaven has been alerting you. The pull ends now, beloved. You have made it through the threshold. You have walked through revelation, endured the shaking, survived the silence, and now, you stand at the edge of fulfillment. What began on September 1 as a quiet tug on your spirit, a subtle pull, an inexplicable drain, was never meant to destroy you. It was a summons. It was heaven calling you deeper, higher, further into your divine identity. You felt it before you could name it. You resisted it at first, not out of rebellion, but because it came cloaked in mystery. But now the veil is gone. The mystery is resolved. The signal has been decoded. This was never warfare without purpose. This was divine transition. Since September 1, Archangel Michael has been circling you, guarding you, nudging you, watching, waiting, releasing signs, withholding permission, shifting atmospheres. Every delay was protection. Every silence was orchestration. Every time you felt blocked, heaven was building something beneath the surface. And now the instruction is complete. The cycle does not get to repeat. The soul drain ends now. The heaviness lifts now. The fatigue that wasn't yours, the tension that wasn't aligned with your season, it breaks now. And in its place comes clarity, comes rest, comes the presence of God without distraction. No more leaks. No more false alignments. No more tolerating what heaven has already exposed. You are sealed. You are seen. You are sent. The host of heaven stands at attention. The angels are stationed. The courts of heaven have ruled in your favor. You are no longer the hunted. You are now the herald of a new season. A season where discernment is sharp, direction is clear, and delays have lost their grip. So now, I speak the blessing of divine clarity over you. Let your eyes see clearly. Let your ears hear deeply. Let your steps be ordered without hesitation. Let your mind remain guarded, and your atmosphere remain consecrated. Let your soul be protected under the wing of the Almighty. I declare, no more counterfeits, no more confusion, no more second-guessing. You are walking forward with authority, wisdom, and prophetic certainty. I speak the blessing of peace over you. Not peace that comes from circumstances, but peace that surpasses understanding. Peace that guards your gates. Peace that surrounds your relationships. Peace that sits on your shoulders like a mantle. And I declare this peace will speak louder than the noise of yesterday's trauma. I speak the blessing of finality over you. The cycle is closed. The access is revoked. The door to the old has been sealed shut. This is your fresh oil, your new wind, your divine rhythm. You are no longer surviving. You are ascending. So rise now. Stand now. Walk now. Not in your own name, but in the name of the one who called you, sealed you, and covered you. This is your holy moment, your divine unveiling, your long-awaited turning point. You are not late. You are not lost. You are aligned. You are chosen. You are commissioned. Type "I am sealed" and send in the comments if this word with the confirmation your spirit waited for. Blessing code 777 is now declaring the end of delay and the beginning of divine acceleration. You've just walked through a prophetic journey, and if your spirit was stirred, it's because this wasn't just content, it was a divine assignment. We're not here to entertain. We are here to ignite destiny, cancel darkness, and awaken the remnant. When you sow into this mission, you're not giving to a platform. You're fueling the voice of God that calls His children back to alignment. Just like you needed this message, there's someone else out there drowning in silence. And your seed can become their lifeline. Your giving becomes the river heaven flows through. Let it be said that your obedience funded someone else's freedom. This is holy ground. The word says, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." And I declare, your seed carries justice, your offering carries prophecy. Support through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the video description. Don't let this word pass without honoring the oil that spoke to you. I bless every giver. May heaven multiply it back in miracles you didn't even know you needed.